On August 6, 1945, the world witnessed a moment that would forever change the course of history. The city of Hiroshima in Japan was transformed into a landscape of devastation in an instant. This would mark a new era in warfare and the use of atomic bombs. This piece of US history is a testament to how horrible, cruel, and unforgiving the power of war is on innocent lives. This documentary shows the impact of that fateful day and its legacy, exploring the immediate horrors and long-term consequences of the atomic bombing. Viewer discretion is advised as there is graphic content and images. On August 6, 1945, the world witnessed a moment that would forever change the course of history. The city of Hiroshima was transformed into a landscape of devastation in an instant. This documentary shows the impact of that fateful day and its legacy.
Before the bombing of Hiroshima, World War II was occurring. There were two sides in the war, the Axis powers and the Allied powers. The Axis powers consisted of Germany, Italy, and Japan, while the Allied powers consisted of Great Britain, the United States, and the Soviet Union. One key event that led to the detonation of the first atomic bomb was the Manhattan Project. The project started because the United States was scared of the potential nuclear weapons the German Nazis created for warfare. In the Manhattan Project letter, Leo Szilard and Einstein warned the president that Nazi Germany might be working on the fission bomb, and that the United States should begin working immediately on its own nuclear weapons research. Two key figures in the Manhattan Project were J. Robert Oppenheimer and Enrico Fermi. Both helped build the first atomic bomb detonated in the Trinity test. The Trinity test occurred on July 16, 1945, in a desert near Alamogordo, New Mexico, about 120 miles south of Albuquerque. The test was to confirm the functionality of the plutonium implosion-type nuclear bomb design, which would later be used to bomb Hiroshima. In the end, it showed the scientists that the atomic bomb worked and that it was ready to be used when needed. Here, Oppenheimer recalls what he felt after the test in a 1965 interview.
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
After Germany surrendered on May 8, 1945, countries that participated in the war met at Potsdam, Germany to have the Potsdam Conference from July 17th to August 2nd, 1945. By the end of the conference, a declaration was made demanding Japan's surrender, called the Potsdam Declaration. When Japan got the news, they rejected the assertion. This led to President Harry S. Truman having to decide how to end the war against Japan. The decision to drop the bomb laid on President Harry S. Truman's hands. He had four options. The first option was to continue the conventional bombing of Japanese cities. The second option was to invade Japan. The third option was to drop the bomb on an unpopulated island, and the last option was to drop the bomb on an inhabited Japanese city. Truman decided that only the last option would have a lasting effect on Japan. Truman did not want to destroy Japanese culture or people, but only to destroy Japan's ability to wage war. This led Truman to choose the city of Hiroshima as his target.
In the summer of 1945, as World War II raged on, the city of Hiroshima was a strategic military hub in Japan. With a population of over 300,000, it had military bases, industrial factories, and families. It held the headquarters of different armies, so it was a strategic way of showing off the US's power. Japan was resisting, and the United States was looking to avoid an invasion. They sent out an ultimatum for them to surrender. However, Japan ignored it. This caused President Harry S. Truman to make the controversial decision to use the weapon developed under the Manhattan Project. named the Little Boy. On the morning of August 6, 1945, the B-29 bomber Enola Gay, piloted by Colonel Paul Tibbets, took off from Tinian Island. At 8:15 a.m., the atomic bomb known as Little Boy was dropped over Hiroshima. The bomb detonated, causing an explosion and a towering mushroom cloud. It devastated the city entirely. Little Boy weighed 9,700 pounds and measured 10 feet long and 28 inches in diameter. Uranium-235 was a critical element in creating an explosive fission reaction in nuclear bombs. The force of the explosion was later estimated at 15 kilotons. It had a gun-type mechanism to cause the explosion, with a uranium bullet hitting a cylinder in order to cause the reaction. The immediate aftermath was deadly. An estimated 78,000 people died instantly, and tens of thousands were injured. Fires erupted and radiation spread throughout the city, causing further suffering and death in the days and weeks that followed. The panic, chaos, trauma, and death that would come from this event left many in shock. People needed immediate care. The effects of a blast and radiation were deadly. However, despite the deadly amount of radiation, fires, and destruction, there were survivors in Hiroshima who were able to tell their stories after the event. One example would be Dr. Shuntaro Hida, a doctor who treated bomb victims and lived to tell the tale. He dedicated his life to documenting what happened and fighting against atomic warfare. The world was in absolute shock of what had occurred in Hiroshima. The bombing of Hiroshima, followed by the bombing of Nagasaki, caused Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945. This would cause the end of World War II and the beginning of an era of nuclear warfare. Hibakusha, meaning bomb-affected people, went through long-term effects. Long-term health issues, psychological trauma, physical and mental pain, along discrimination. They had to rebuild their entire city and document the trauma that they experienced, all while silently being affected by the radiation from the atomic bomb. As we can see in these paintings created by survivors, the trauma in the art is deep and heavy, with bright, painful, vivid colors and grotesque brushstrokes.
There are ethical arguments about whether the use of nuclear warfare was justified or not, and it continues today. In response to it, new international laws and treaties were also put in place. The Non-Proliferation Treaty of 1968, the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty of 1996, the Limited Test Ban Treaty of 1963, and the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons Treaty of 2017, and many others. The United Nations was created in 1945, with the atomic bombs being a concerning reason. Hiroshima influenced every law in the future with the concern of how dangerous the bombs were. It began the nuclear arms race. People started to accelerate their programs after seeing the destructive power of the atomic bomb alongside the fear of not being ready in case they were under attack. There were diplomatic efforts worldwide to control nuclear warfare. Efforts today continue to remove nuclear warfare entirely. The United States also started to be seen as the strongest world power. This is because they decided to drop the first atomic bomb to show their power and followed up with a second one to solidify their dominance in the nuclear arms race. This cemented them as one of the strongest, if not the strongest country in the world. The bombing of Hiroshima was one of the most important turning points for not only US history, but world history. It changed international relations between countries worldwide, cemented the US as one of the strongest, if not the strongest countries in the world, and started a debate on the use of atomic bombs during wartime. Today, Hiroshima is a symbol of peace worldwide. In Hiroshima, there is a Peace Memorial Park, which has the building of Genbaku Dome, which is a reminder of what happened. Yearly ceremonies are held to pay tribute to people who died during the bombing. The memorial park also advocates for the abolishment of nuclear warfare in the world. Hopefully in the future, nothing of this caliber ever happens again. Thank you and goodbye.